What's up, Ragin Nation? How y'all doing? This is Alex here. You're watching the Ragin Nation show. This is just a web series where I talk about all the things that matter to me in the world of movies. The very first thing I gotta talk about is Star Wars. And if you've seen my previous video, I was expressing my excitement about J.J. Abrams being announced as the director for Star Wars Episode 7. Now, he's not only the director, he will be also serving as a producer, and that is actually great news. I think he's a great visionary director and storyteller. He directed Super 8, Star Trek, and Mission Impossible 3, which I thought were all very superb films. So what we're gonna get in Star Wars Episode 7 is pretty much the complete J.J. Abrams Star Wars experience. Now, if they want to make it the complete J.J. Abrams experience, all they gotta do is get Alex Kurtzman and Roberto Orci or even Damon Lindelof to be the writers for the screenplay. But apparently that won't be the case because Michael Arndt is already the writer for Star Wars Episode 7. He wrote the screenplay for Toy Story 3 and Little Miss Sunshine, to name a few of his credits, and those are movies that had great stories. So right now I can say this is a very solid filmmaking team. I'm really excited about that. Speaking of J.J. Abrams productions, it's highly possible that J.J. Abrams will also be producing Star Wars Episode 8 and 9. Now, there's no confirmation on this, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that if he wants to play it smart, he should serve as a producer for Episode 7, 8, and 9, even if he's not even directing 8 and 9. It just locks you in as being invested into this money-making franchise. And not only that, he's also serving as a producer for the ongoing Mission Impossible franchise, as well as another Star Trek film. Star Trek 3 and Mission Impossible 5 will be produced by J.J. Abrams. And this is what you call smart business management. Because even if J.J. Abrams is not taking on a high responsibility task, such as directing these films, he could at least make money from being a producer for these films. And these are big franchises, so we're talking about lots of cha-ching, you know what I'm saying? Anyways, the next piece of news that I have for you is that Warner Brothers has a director for Robotech. There's been a lot of talk about a Robotech live action film, especially since the success of the first Transformers film. Everybody is talking robots. We've been treated to so many different robot movies lately, and not only that, but movies based off of 80s cartoons and toy and games properties. Transformers, G.I. Joe, Battleship. So what is next? Robotech. And a Robotech live action film is something that a lot of fans have been waiting for. Recently, Warner Brothers had just announced that they had chosen a director for the live action Robotech film, and that would be Nick Mathieu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. He's French, I think. Anyways, Nick Mathieu has never directed a feature-length film in his life, but he's a commercial director. And when I think of commercial directors who have transitioned themselves from commercials to feature-length films, I think of Michael Bay and Tony Scott. And what do these two directors have in common? Well, for starters, they direct their movies like they're directing commercials. And it is very evident in a lot of their films. It's very flashy, it's very stylized, and ultimately there's a lot of action in it. Nick Mathieu is no different. I've only seen one of his commercials, and I can say that if this is really their choice for Robotech, it's gonna be very stylized. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but right now I'm gonna keep an open mind. Maybe the direction that Warner Bros. Is going for is that they don't want to pick a big name director to direct a movie that they're not sure is going to be a successful franchise or not. Of course, they want it to be successful, but they don't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So what they're really doing is picking a small-time commercial director to direct a big sci-fi cartoon property, which has a huge fan following. I don't know about this choice of director. I mean, the only other time that I've seen something like this happen was when Disney chose Joseph Kosinski to direct Tron Legacy. And we all know how that turned out. High expectations, mediocre film. Anyways, I'm gonna keep an open mind. They don't have a release date, but at least they're showing some progress. Anyways, the next little bit of news that I have for you is that Warner Brothers narrowed down their list of who they want in the Justice League lineup. And this list of characters should be no surprise to you because I actually wanted these characters to be in it, and that would be Superman, Batman, The Flash, Green Lantern, and Wonder Woman. I think that's a decent number of characters. I think once you bring in any more characters than that, then it's gonna start getting a little bit bloated. So there you have it. Whether or not they're gonna include Hawkeye or Martian Manhunter or Black Canary as supporting roles, we don't know, but the main cast is the first 5 that I mentioned. Speaking of superhero movies, Kevin Feige was doing some interviews recently, and he did mention that Ant-Man will be the start of Phase 3. And what Phase 3 is, if you're not familiar with the Avengers Phase 1 and 2, is the lineup of Marvel movies that leads up to the next following Avengers movie. So Ant-Man will start that off, and he also did mention that Doctor Strange was going to be in there as well. There's no release date or any information about the Doctor Strange movie, but it's highly likely that Doctor Strange will be a part of Phase 3. Now, with Ant-Man and Doctor Strange being a part of Phase 3, you're kind of seeing a pattern here, and that is Phase 3 is kind of straying away from the main characters that we saw from Phase 1. And in some ways this is kind of evident because they're ending off Phase 2 with Guardians of the Galaxy. And if you don't already know, Guardians of the Galaxy has a very strange ragtag group of characters. So Phase 3 is going to have another group of ragtag characters. So that's what's going on for the future of Marvel's post-Avengers 2 films. And finally, the last thing I want to talk to you about is more Marvel news, and that is about X-Men Days of Future Past. And if you don't already know, Bryan Singer, who directed X-Men 1 and 2, is the director for X-Men Days of Future Past. Now, the interesting thing about this movie is that it is a direct sequel to X-Men First Class, but Bryan Singer is bringing some key elements from his X-Men movies, and that would be bringing in actors who were in X-Men 1, 2, and also 3 into X-Men Days of Future Past, which include Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Anna Paquin, Shawn Ashmore, and also Ellen Page. And the characters that these actors portray will be blending in with the characters from the previous film. Michael Fassbender, James McAvoy, and Jennifer Lawrence are all attached to portray the roles that they previously played from X-Men First Class. So what's going to happen is that we're going to see the younger versions of those characters and also the older versions. Whether or not they're going to see their future or old selves, we don't know yet, but if you don't already know, X-Men Days of Future Past deals with time travel, and that's the only thing we know about the story. And that's all I have to say for you in this episode of the Ragin Nation Show. What do you guys think about anything that I've talked about? Let me know in the comment section below. But the main question I want to ask you guys is, what do you think of Nick Matthew being the director of the live-action Robotech film? He's only directed commercials, they're very stylized, and this will be the first film that he's ever worked on. A little ambitious in my opinion. What's really going to happen is that Warner Brothers is going to leave a $100 million production budget in the hands of Nick Matthew to play with for Robotech. If I was the CEO at Warner Brothers, I think I'd feel a little bit uneasy about that. What do you guys think? Or better yet, who else do you think should have been the director for the Robotech live action film? Let me know in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation, and also follow me on Twitter at Ragin Nation. My name is Alex Yu, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace. Because you can expect a lot of lens flare. I mean, it is a sci-fi movie. There's a lot of glowing lights here and there, so we're gonna see a lot of lens